Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, Savage Reads. It is a cold and rainy day today. I'm trapped inside with a bit of a sore throat. The kids are home from school today, and I need to talk about some of the books that I read last week. It has taken me a while to film this video because my throat has hurt for a few days and I keep thinking, it'll feel better tomorrow. It'll feel better tomorrow. It is what it is now. I'm just gonna move ahead. I'm better. I'm fine. As always, I've got an embroidery update, so let me show you the dog. I am stitching a dog. So I've been a little bit worried about this project because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get a picture of a real dog that my sister wants a picture of translated into thread very well. And I'm not the best at drawing. I struggle with it sometimes, and so I didn't really know what to do. But then I found out that my sister-in-law had actually digitally drawn a picture of the dog. How perfect is that? So I used the picture that she created as a sort of pattern to trace. And then I used pictures of the actual dog to kind of help me with the colors. And I'm getting started on it. So I have it traced out, and the fabric almost looks a little moldy right now. But that's because I tried to paint it green and it didn't look great. But I figured I'll finish the dog and then darken the edges. But if you look up close, we've got the picture of the dog's face. It's a King Charles Spaniel, and I am trying to just start filling in some of these spots in different colors. So I think it will come together a little better in the next week or so. So I'm excited about that. That's where the embroidery is. But let's jump into my week of reading. So Melinda at A Web of Stories recommended the book The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum, and I had read another book by him, I think also on the recommendation of Melinda, if I'm not mistaken, but he also wrote Symphony of Secrets, and I enjoyed that one. That one also dealt with some of the struggles of being a person of color in the music, classical music realm. I enjoyed Symphony of Secrets, but this book, ooh, okay. This is following a man who, you know right from the beginning, he has a Stradivarius violin that has been stolen. And it goes back through how he got the violin, his love for playing, his love for music, his connection with his grandmother, and then this mystery of what happened with the violin. I had such a good time with this. It had a good mystery. It really just grabbed me and pulled me along. I had to know what happened. Really made me long for playing the violin. I have not picked up a violin in 10 years or so, but I used to play as a child, and so I loved the descriptions of the music, and I thought there were some really interesting and important things that the author had to say about being Black and playing classical music and some of the discrimination that this character faced. It did have that feeling that I think I get in some books where I can feel the anxiety. I know something wrong is going to happen and you can feel it inside, which maybe isn't the most pleasant of reading experiences when you feel that anxious, but is a sign that the author did a really good job at making me feel what the main character was going to feel. And I really enjoyed this. This ended up being just, I don't know. I'm so bad at star ratings, but I'm going to try to give them this video 5 stars. I really liked it. I liked Symphony of Secrets too, but that was maybe 4 out of 5 stars. It was a really liked it. And this one was more of the, I loved it. I really loved this one. It was fun, mysterious, interesting, satisfying, and had some important commentary, and all of that put into one. Enjoyed it immensely. Highly recommend. Now, my aunt had rated the Rom-Commers by Catherine Center very highly on Goodreads, and so I put it on my list. I trust her recommendations. And if you have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I don't always get along very well with romantic comedies, with romance novels. I think some of my big problems that I run into with romance novels is the contrived situations, we have two people in proximity to each other so they have to fall in love kind of thing, and also just the toxic relationship dynamics that are kind of glamorized, shown as, oh no, it's just passionate. No, that's a red flag right there. And that is, those were my concerns going into the Rom-Commers. And we have Emma Wheeler, who wants to be a screenwriter, and she gets this amazing opportunity to write a script, a romantic comedy script with a famous screenwriter. And her friend, who is an agent, sets it all up, and she gets there, and the screenwriter wasn't even expecting her. And soon they start working together, and it goes on from there. It's kind of what you would expect. A romantic comedy, these two people who didn't really know if they wanted to work together, trying to figure out a romantic comedy plot. I'm shocked at how much this ended up working for me. Did we have contrived situations? Does it get more contrived than famous screenwriter and this nobody who just so happens to be a talented writer are forced to stay together in this mansion and write a script together? Yeah, that's very contrived. Did it have toxic relationship dynamics? Less than a lot that I have seen. I believed in this relationship. And did it give me that two people just happen to be together so they have to fall in love? Yes. But where this book really worked was just in making the characters feel lovely and believable. I cared about them. I thought that their dialogue and witty banter was just delightful, and any of my criticisms that I would normally have with romantic comedies were addressed head on by the author, because her main character tried to convince this screenwriter why romantic comedies matter and why they are important. And I have to agree with some of the points. We can believe in a planet full of aliens, but believing in a romantic love that will last the ages is too much. I get that. I think that it was a really hopeful kind of book. I liked that I felt like the characters could be okay without each other and didn't need each other to the point of it being toxic and weird. I thought that they were both nice characters on their own. And, the author is right. Sometimes you just want to read a book that things are going to turn out right. I am shocked how much I enjoyed this because I've kind of written off the genre for a while. And yes, some of the things I had to just roll my eyes at, but was it fun? Yes. I am surprised. I had a good time. So, as star ratings go, I really liked it. This is 4 out of 5 stars, which is shocking to me because I have had a hard time with the genre. I do love good romance. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate love. It's just that the kind of love shown in romance books is often so toxic or so contrived and doesn't feel natural and meaningful. And I think this towed that line of having some contrived things, but the feelings felt real. This next book was a recommendation from the amazing Audrey at Audrey Approved, and it was Eruption, The Untold Story of Mount St. Helens by Steve Olson. It is talking about the eruption of Mount St. Helens, and specifically talking about the people that were in the area and why they were. Because I think a lot of times you might think, why were people so close to the mountain? They knew something was going to happen. They knew an eruption was coming. Why were people in the area? And it gave some background on why these people would be there and how they survived or how they didn't. And I thought it was a very interesting book, a very interesting look at Mount St. Helens. I can't say that I don't think I've read any other books that have talked about Mount St. Helens. Now, the reason I don't give this a 5-star grade is my little pet peeve here. I think the title of the book should have said Eruption, the Untold Story of Mount St. Helens, and a complete history of logging in the area. So, was a little bit of history of logging important to the book? Yeah. Help us understand why people might have been close to the mountain if they were working for these logging companies and why the logging companies were working where they were working. Sure. But did we need to start with back a couple hundred years before when the founder of the logging company decided to move to the United States? It gave too much context about logging. And it was fine. By the end of the book, I almost forgot about that. But the first little bit was so in-depth history of logging that I was a little confused about the focus of the book. It was all interesting. I really thought it was worthwhile. I liked this book. I just think that the author got a little sidetracked on their side quest of the history of logging instead of giving us the appropriate amount of context so we could understand what was happening for the theme of the book. But this still ends up getting a 4 out of 5 stars for me. It was, I really liked it. I thought it was good. There's only my little caveat that the author got distracted down their own little rabbit hole. But I enjoyed this book, and I think I should read some more books that talk about the eruption at Mount St. Helens because it was very interesting, and I just don't think I've read many books that have talked about volcanoes. So that might be an interesting thing to dive into. Speaking of diving into things, I read The Underworld, Journeys to the Depths of the Ocean by Susan Casey. Now, this was a recommendation from Caitlin at Bandy's Books. I think Audrey also recommended this at some point. Let me know if I'm wrong, Audrey. This book is talking about deep sea exploration. Our author is going and meeting with the scientists who are going in these deep sea submarines and studying the ocean floor and what it is, what significance it has for our lives, and the beauty that that can have. I thought this book was really fascinating. I think where my mind kept going, and probably your mind would keep going too if you read a book about deep sea submersibles, is the Titan submersible implosion in 2023. And I kept thinking this book was going to talk about it. And I had to go look up dates. Something that was very confusing to me is this author kept talking about how safe it is and how it's almost routine at this point to go to the deepest parts of the earth in these different submersibles. And I kept thinking, but what about that highly publicized case where it did not turn out? And what I found is that this book came out only a couple months after the events with the Titan submersible implosion. Obviously, she probably wasn't able to go and research that and add it to the book. That being said, I don't know the timelines of publishing, but I do kind of wish that they had put in a little, stapled something in the back of the book, because the whole book feels weird knowing about the other incident. I just felt a little bit of disconnect, and I would have loved just an author's note stuck in the back of the book. And I don't know how all that publishing works, so probably it was too late to do it, but it felt weird that it wasn't addressed to me. But overall, it was really interesting, and I do think there is so much to be explored deep under the ocean and to understand about our planet. And so many people look out and up and say space exploration, let's move to Mars, let's do all this, but we just don't even understand what is in the depths of our own planet. And so these scientists that are studying, super interesting to learn about. And that is what I have read the last week or so. If you have any thoughts on these books, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all on the next one.